I can see you. You're looking good.
Thank you. So good to see you, Dr. Helm. How things going for you over in your part of the
Things
world?
are going okay. I mean, if anybody has been listening from sessions past, we've had some problems, logging in, and I haven't been able to see my good friend KP, and now I can see him. So I'm excited, especially for the side eye segment. That's important to be able to see you because I was side eyeing a blank screen before, and now I get to actually side eye you.
We get to side eye together.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, cool. Well, since we are on a different system, and we're actually, I guess, the streaming live on a few different sites, and so we thought it'd be probably good for us to, do a brief introduction for each of us. You want to go first, real quick, Dr. Helm?
Sure, sure. So, Dr. Catherine Helm, Kathy for short. I am a full time professor, a part time psychologist where I see couples and adults, right? I got some side gigs, some other things. And Dr. Prince and I have known each other for many years through the Association of Black Psychologists. And he asked me several months ago if I wanted to do a podcast with him, and it has been a pleasure.
Excellent. Well, this is Dr. Prince over here. It's the other part of the co-host with Dr. Helm for Riffing While Black, and just glad to be here, based in Austin, Texas. Running a consulting firm for over since 2007, so that makes it almost 20 years. But doing this work around DEI for over 20 years, and we decided to put this together because we like to riff about a number of different things, and we have a series of topics that we want to talk about today. The first one on the
We should
list
wait. We
is
should tell the full title of the podcast.
oh, remind me. I always
So it
forget
is
those things.
riffing while black, two minds, one vibe, and an occasional side
Side
eye. Side eye.
eye.
Yeah. So we will have our
Excellent.
side eye segment a little bit later.
Excellent. And the side eye is usually at the end, and we'll identify that. But uh, there's a series of topics. One I think is a bit sad, but I think it needs attention. Is the now assassination of Charlie Kirk that happened yesterday? Then we're going to spend some time talking about Kelly Price. She's come out and said some pretty challenging things. I call it for now,
Yeah,
particularly about
challenge.
black women being nasty and disrespectful on a rant she had on.
DEI hires. Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
girl.
yes.
Mhm.
And then we have Lizzo. Thought it'd be good to touch on her because she's kind of been a little I won't say gone, but she's had a little bit of a lower profile recent, and so I thought it'd be good for us to talk about her. And then we wanted to also talk about the Surgeon General, who happens to be a brother, a Surgeon General from Florida, who has decided, in the support of the governor and others there, to make vaccines optional for children.
Mhm.
As in most states, all states across the country, vaccines have always been mandatory with some few exceptions. He's decided to come out that to make it optional or something that's not
Yes.
mandatory. And
Yes.
then lastly, we have a side eye, and our side eye is for folks who care about these kind of things. The Society for Human Resources Management, which is the largest nonprofit organization to support human resources, decided to invite Robbie Starbucks, who's a known, as far as I'm concerned, racist, who's been invited to talk about DEI, along with
Mhm.
Van Jones, who's I think most people know him as a CNN personality. And so they're going to have a nice little debate on their platform later on this year. So that's our side eye. But like we usually do, before we get to digging deep into some of our topics, we do a djembe card. And here we go, our first djembe card. And djembe card is just a card of what I like to call storytelling prompts. And the first one we start off with is in our grounding card. And the first
Okay.
one is uh, beliefs that guide me when talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion are blank, blank, and blank.
Okay.
Got
So
beliefs that
if
guide
you
you.
so kind of going back to previous podcasts where we talked about is DEI dead? Some places it would say that it is, whether you like the terminology or not, some of the ideals behind it are about making sure people have equal access, right? Making sure there's room at the table for everybody's voice to be heard. Obviously that has been sort of dismantled. So values behind it are just that for me, right? Whether you believed in diversity, equity, inclusion, but it's about making sure people have access to opportunities, that everybody's voice is heard, right? And it doesn't just have to do with race or black and white or women and men, right? You're hoping that it talks about including people from everywhere, right? And even as we think about the literal assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? I'm just dipping in for a little bit. I'll get back out, right? You may not have agreed with many of the things that he said, right? But he is another voice, right? That was being heard and lost his life over some of his beliefs. I'm in no way defending his beliefs, but his right to live, like we all have a right to live. So the values behind it for me are about respecting, right, people's experience and making sure people have access and are included. So that's a
Right.
long answer to a short question.
Well, values that kind of guide me is that openness, right? It's that openness to different ideas, particularly ones that we don't necessarily always agree to. I
Yep.
think for me, forgiveness, because there's a lot of things that happen that need a place for grace and forgiveness. And there's a long list, but the other one I'll mention is curiosity. I've been a curious person my whole life. Sometimes it's got me in trouble, but I think curiosity is something that serves us really well. And so those are things that whether
Respectful curiosity.
yeah, respectful,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just digging in to dig in for digging's sake. But
Yeah.
let's do Charlie Kirk first because one you
Okay.
mentioned it and two, I think it's still on some people's minds. I actually put a blog out yesterday talking about Charlie Kirk, and you may or may not agree, but from my perspective, I've had no respect for the man. Primarily because of the things he has said against
Hmm.
immigrants, against people of color, women's proper place. He even was a kind of not kind of he was very much dead set against things like empathy. And so this is a person who I've not agreed with ever on
Yeah.
anything. But I don't know if you want to share some thoughts.
Well, yeah, I don't agree. I didn't agree with anything. I mean, I thought the hate that he was spewing was especially nasty, but it is a tragedy that he was assassinated in front of his wife and children. Like, who are we as a society, right? And we can, kind of talk about this in all different ways that, you don't have to like what he was saying, right? I don't like none of it, right? But he didn't deserve to be assassinated, right? I mean, you don't deserve to die because of your belief system. That ain't right. That ain't
Yeah,
right. So no, I don't agree with anything. Didn't like anything he said. Wasn't listening too much because I'm like, that doesn't apply to me. But he didn't deserve to be killed for
yes.
it. And that is like, as a society, is that who we are?
Well, I think it is who we are to a certain degree because we
I
have a
agree.
long history in this culture over the history of our nation within the last 50 or less years of killing people that we don't agree with. And whether it's MLK or Malcolm X, those are folks that we think of from the past. Medgar Evers.
Yep.
I wouldn't put him, Charlie Kirk, in the same category of person.
Yeah.
But his life is still valuable. And I actually got some pushback because there's definitely an element, I'll speak for myself, who I feel a sense of like Malcolm X did. He says, sometimes the chickens come home to roost.
Hmm.
And some people might believe that he brought this on to himself. I don't think anything he said deserves for him to be shot and killed in the
Yeah.
way that he was because he
Yeah.
is a father.
Yeah.
He's a father. He's a husband. He's a friend to people. I would like to believe that people really feel a sense of deep loss. The thing
Yeah.
I'm having difficulty with is the rage that's coming out from some people who are basically blaming progressives or Democrats and saying your time is coming. Who are
Yeah.
kind of raging because of this assassination, and and I have a hard time with that because
Mhm.
just like when MLK and I mean I wasn't alive when those things happened, but people were pretty mad when those things happened. But it didn't
Sure.
justify, some of the hateful things that came out of those assassinations as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think The problem is right now society seems to be hate filled. And it's terrifying and scary, right? I've been reading about, um, there was a police officer, and I don't know if it was Texas. I don't misquote me, right? Who
Hmm.
sort of framed a black woman, right? Made up a warrant for her arrest, because she was black, right? And so she didn't deserve that, right? That ain't okay either. So you know, even though tolerance is the lowest level, right, of getting along with one another, I'd at least appreciate it if we could at least not even go back because not everyone has been tolerant. At least start there, where you don't
Hmm.
have to agree with people, you don't have to like people, you don't even have to like what they're saying, but can we just leave people alone, right,
Hmm.
and not aggress with violence and verbal abuse and things like that. It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
It's terrifying, and again, some of the pushback I got was like, well, he was pretty hateful to some folks, and they really believed a lot of things that he said, indirectly or directly, somehow was connected to the demise of different communities. His position on the immigrants, he had a close
Mhm.
relationship with the president of the United States, who supported a lot of the same kinds of ideas. People would say he was a white supremacist. All those things were very harmful to, I know, people that you
Very
know and
harmful.
love. Very, very
Yes.
harmful.
I mean,
I
a lot of the things he said were disgusting to me. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
disgusting. Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, and I had a friend who asked me, say, if you had a oppressor or a slave owner, and would you expect compassion towards that person if later on he was found dead? I said, I don't know. I'm not. I haven't been a slave in that way, but
Mhm.
I like to believe that at some point I can just walk away, because the real issue for me isn't so much am I justified in my rage or anger or
Yeah.
frustration at this
Yeah.
person. That's not the question. The question is, who do I become when I decide to turn around and turn that pain, that frustration, into
Mhm.
more pain and frustration, to the point of I'm killing someone else. I don't.
Well,
That's
and
not
where
a
does it
burden I
stop?
want.
Right. Where does it stop? Right. So we're going to turn around and kill somebody else on the left. Right. Like it just, we into this retribution. And last week we talked about putting the 10 Commandments up in the classroom and we spoke about that. Right. I just,
Yeah,
it's scary.
it's scary, and folks are kind of frustrated because they're waiting for more information about who the killer may be. Now they're saying it's a guy, college age, I think is the phrase they use. My concern is it's not going to satisfy for some people. They're going to find the person, they're going to convict them. It
No.
happened in Utah, so he's probably going to get the death penalty, right? Assuming he survives, right? Because sometimes these people do these things and they end up ending
Yeah.
themselves. But I don't know. I generally, I guess what this is the thing. I know people who I care about, who are friends of mine, who are really shook up about this, because
Hmm.
they really, it wasn't even about so much do they agree with him and everything he said. They really felt like he was part of a movement that spoke to the concerns of some people.
Hmm.
And so they're really kind of broken up about it, because it's like, why would you do something like to someone so young? I mean, he started when he
Hmm.
was 18 years old. He's 31. He was 31 at this point. And so I think there's a genuine kind of concern for that as well. Why would you take out this young person who's a father? And again, I think some other people are kind of like, I don't care.
I know. Well, and I think again, you don't have to like him, you don't have to believe, right, anything that he believed in, right? But when we sort of condone killing of people, and you sort of say, Martin Luther King, right? When we begin to condone killing of people, where does it end? Right? Where does it end? What does that mean for our children and our children's children? I
Yeah.
just it's just, uh, words are escaping me.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
well, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, right? Because
Yeah.
and the thing is that it may not be me who suffers the consequences, but there might be someone I know, someone I care about, that suffers as a result, and that's what I'm trying to avoid.
But when we go back and we sort of look at, right, when we look at racism and we look at homophobia and we look at all of gender-based violence, we look at all these things. One of the key features is dominant superiority, thinking that you're right,
Hmm.
and not seeing people as human beings. Right?
The
You're
dignity is
you're
gone.
different than me because so you're not a human being. I don't see your humanity. And, again, didn't like the man, didn't agree with anything that he said. But to be assassinated and to be assassinated in front of your child and your wife and all of those people will never be the same.
No.
Right. I mean, I would rather have had him, right? Like, he would invite people to debate him if I'm understanding
Hmm.
things. Like,
Hmm.
like have it out, have a verbal debate about it, but don't get a gun and kill somebody. I would love it if people would look at sort of this also as a gun violence issue, right? And
Yes.
maybe we need to look at, the number of guns, but, I'm sure I would just be accused of being woke. So, um,
Well, that already happened, sister.
yeah.
Well, let's move on and talk a little bit. And again, shout out to all the folks who are kind of dealing with this as a difficult challenge. But let's also remind that there's been a number of people who've been shot and killed for the wrong reasons for the last several years. And so it seems like he's just, unfortunately, a
And it's
continuation
all
of that.
bad,
No,
right? It's
yeah,
all,
it's all
yeah,
bad. Exactly.
yeah.
Let's move on to our friend down in Florida, the Surgeon General, whose name I will not speak because he right now is not my favorite person.
I,
But his brother. I don't I knew I get to
is
go
he
look it up
though?
because every time my
Is he
brother does this,
though?
I'm like,
Is he though?
I mean,
I mean, you got
in
the paint
spirit,
job, but it,
in
uh,
spirit,
it is it a spirit though? I
I like
mean,
to believe so.
really?
And this is the
So
problem. Okay,
it
you go first.
so yeah, I guess what I don't understand is like I don't know if he's a mud fud, which is like an MD, PhD. I know he at least has the MD part.
Yes,
Wasn't he like a Harvard grad, right?
he's supposed to
Some
be
Ivy
highly
League.
educated.
Okay,
Yes.
he's a highly educated Negro, right? What I the we're going to get rid of vaccine mandates for children. Now, to my knowledge, parents still have to consent to vaccines and on some level anyway, and there are religious exemptions for vaccines, right? But
Most
what
places.
happens? So, what happens when masses of people stop getting vaccinated is that stuff that we thought we eradicated comes back. Like there's a mumps outbreak or there's a
Measles.
measles outbreak, stuff,
Hmm.
or polio, like stuff that we thought we got rid of, right? And suddenly we're so anti-science now. And then the mass suffers. So to get rid of vaccines for children, when children don't get to make obviously those decisions about their health, right? And it just, I'm like, what are we doing? What
Well,
are
it's
we doing? And help me.
Well, it's like a very extreme version of individualism because his argument that he had on TV was, don't we have the right to make sure parents get to make decisions for their children and what they receive or don't receive? And I say, ultimately yes, but there's also some limitations. I mean, basically his ideology is basically saying we should ignore green lights and red lights because I feel personally I think they're oppressive. I'm not going to wear seatbelts anymore because I think
Yeah,
who are you to tell me to wear a seatbelt in my car that
yeah,
I paid money for?
exactly.
Um,
Yes,
you know what? I'm going to drop my trash wherever I want to because it's inconvenient, and there's some woods across the street that are really cool for me, and so I'm gonna just drop my trash over there because I don't have to be charged by the city to throw my trash away. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do in society that, if you give it, I mean, who doesn't speed because
well,
they
or
think,
putting sort of chemicals in water and being like, well, you had a decision to drink that water or not. I
yes,
mean,
yes,
what? I
and
just uh, help me understand what is behind that decision.
I think it's an exercise of really going down every rabbit hole you can imagine around your own individual rights. Even this whole freedom of speech kind of argument that people are, as if having freedom of speech comes with no responsibility. That's always
Right.
been the law.
Fair,
It's like,
fair, fair.
yes, you can have freedom of speech, yeah, and we want you to exercise it. But if you go into a room and yell fire, you should expect things. You call someone a nigga, you might get your ass beat. There's just some things you should expect. And to me, it's like, okay, we're not going to make vaccines mandatory, but just like we had here in West Texas, you had children getting sick that we hadn't seen this level of illness around measles in years, and then
Right.
children died
Yeah. I don't know if I heard about
unnecessarily,
that. Yep. Yep.
unnecessarily. And
Yep.
so, who's going to be the kid and the parent, the family who's going to have to for my rights, so they can what feel better somehow or another?
I don't
And
know.
and we forget smallpox, measles, all these things killed hundreds, thousands of
Yep.
people for
Thousands of
years.
people. Yep. Right. Right.
And we're
Which is
disconnected. And I think that's the problem. We're disconnected from that history, that knowledge. Because, people, they believe these vaccines somehow are connected to things like uh, being on the spectrum,
autism. Yeah.
autism,
Yeah.
which has been debunked more over. But
Multiple
this is the other
times.
issue.
Yeah.
There's a lack of trust, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It's just
I don't
it's disturbing. I mean, at least so you're in Texas and I'm in Illinois, right? I know that there are pediatricians' office and some of them are like, "We will not serve you or your children if you don't agree with vaccines." And then there's some pediatricians' offices who will, right?
yeah.
But we have no care for one another. We really don't. Was
Well,
every person for themselves.
and and maybe some people see that's why it's such a struggle because we compare ourselves to other cultures where this is not even a conversation. But it's sometimes hard to compare ourselves to other cultures or countries. We're way bigger than most countries as far as population is concerned,
Mhm.
as far as land mass is concerned. We have a lot of diversity here that's not represented in other countries across the globe, and that's part of the reason why I think we're disconnected. But I think, in the political winds that we're in today, where basically people are setting up systems because they don't want black people or immigrants to receive services. So they do everything they can to limit it or cut off those resources because somehow we're worried about people taking advantage of the good things that we're doing. My tax dollars are being wasted. You mean your 2 nickels? Really? That's what you worried about?
I still don't understand how that all that relates to vaccines for children.
Oh, I think it's just racism. I mean, that's the simplest answer. I
I
think that's the
mean,
simplest answer.
but how do we sort of help me get there in terms of how is that even racism related to vaccines for kids, all kids?
I don't know. It's complicated. I don't know if we have there's so much. This is
Yeah,
the
there's a
thing.
lot.
The rabbit
Yeah.
hole that you have to go down to understand why people believe what they believe, and seeing how it's connected to economics, it's connected to racism, chauvinism, all kinds of things. It's a deep rabbit hole. But the good thing is that they put the stuff out there is part of their propaganda, but to inform people, right? And so if you really want to go down that rabbit hole and find out what this is all about, you can. I've done it on a few occasions, and by the time I pulled my head out, I was like, "Oh my god,
Well, I'm worried about
wow!"
the health consequences of what this means, and it's not just in Florida, it's all over the place. What are the health consequences of not vaccinating children against some deadly diseases? I mean,
Um,
I hope it doesn't end in tragedy. I really don't.
I think that's the fear. Unfortunately, I think we already know what the consequences are. People dying. I mean, you still have people who are fighting the COVID vaccine, and
Well,
they
they
want
don't
the
have
right.
to because we're no longer allowed to get it.
Yeah, you have to have a doctor's note, right? You have to have the
I
doctor's
mean,
note.
or
Unless
certain
you live
health.
in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and then also I think maybe California, Washington. They have their own little CDCs of sorts, regional
Gosh,
CDCs, who have said, yeah, and they're still working on getting insurance companies to pay for it.
it's just enough to make your head spin. So,
It's too much.
is it time for a card before we talk about
Oh no,
Miss
no, we're gonna
Kelly
do card
Price?
after we talk about Lizzo. I mean, not Lizzo, but Kelly Price.
Okay, now I was like scrolling, looking, and I was like, what? I was happened to be on TikTok, and I was like, I was a fan of Kelly Price's music in the early 2000s. I had a couple Kelly Price albums,
Do you?
Gifted Voice. I did. And I was like, what? So Kelly Price and gave a concert and people said negative things about what she was wearing, which number one, why do we care what someone's wearing? Why do people have to comment on people's appearance? I don't know, right? Just anyway,
They were
so
saying
people said
awful
negative,
things to her.
saying
Yes.
awful things to her, right? Which I'm sort of
Great
like, what does
feet,
it say about you that you were saying
hair.
awful things? But she lost her crap completely, got on TikTok with a bonnet, right? And started going off on black women. You're going off on black women. Okay. Yeah. Right. Who is your base? Right. And talking about how all of us, and I'm like, Kelly, aren't you a black woman too? Are DEI hires and how nasty black women are, right? And I was like, Kelly, right? Instead of either ignoring it or addressing those individuals who said nasty things, right? You
Hmm.
go off on your entire base,
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
base.
Your bread and butter.
What? Your bread and butter. Because when they pan to the audience at the concert, who do you see? Black women are mostly in the audience. And I was
You know,
like,
there ain't a lot of bras in there either.
right. So I'm like, what? And then she was like, wow, well, she'll still be selling out,
Concert
arenas,
arenas.
concerts and arenas for the rest of us in our DEI higher end jobs or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but I was like, girl, is that true? Not when you just insulted your base?
Well, okay, I do have a question. Maybe you paid more attention than I have. Because I'll be honest, I thought she was kind of irrelevant because she's been kind of out of the major scene. And if she's selling anything out, all I'm thinking about is like these smaller, like, not that I'm not diminishing it. It's important. She's making money,
Yeah,
so great.
yeah,
But
yeah.
these kind of church concerts, gospel kind of events, and those are well attended, but they're not as well known as other events. So again, I
Right,
have
and
no
they're
reason
attended
to
mostly
question it.
by Black
Yes,
women. Those
yes.
DEI hires that are so nasty that you just talked about.
Who are coming to you for some reprieve for the crap that's going on. Because when you got over 300,000 black women losing their jobs, if they're showing up at the Kelly Price concert, they're coming for some to get away from this crazy world that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I was, I know this sounds
What are
messy,
you about to say?
but she had a bonnet on her head
He had
as
a
she's
bonnet.
going off, and I'm just like,
Yes. Wait, and there's some dude in the background. I don't know if that was her husband. She's going off and he's walking back and forth. And so, but I just thought to myself, right, I am sure she was tired of the
yeah,
abuse about her clothes. And I'm
yes,
sure, right, the world is not kind to African American women,
not
period.
at all.
African American women who might be of a larger body size, African
Yes,
American women who are darker complected, period,
yes,
right?
all that, all that.
But you did not target the haters. You had targeted an entire group of people, of which you are one of, and it's your base. And I was just like, girl, number one, we both are psychologists. Get some therapy, right? And that's not said in a meaningful, like a mean way. Like it's saying get some support and target the people who said those nasty things, right? Or ignore them, not everybody else. I was like, oh, that's me too. Girl, it's
Oh,
you too. It's you too.
I mean, I just what I wanted in that moment as I was watching it because one, it was a little long, and two, I just wanted someone to be like, come like her I don't know if it was her man or whoever was behind her, be like, hey baby, I know you're upset and stuff, but let's take a beat.
Here,
Let's
take
do
take some tea. Wait,
let me, baby, I love you. I'm gonna hug you. You the best. You are definitely the best. Let's sit down and let's think about this because this is fucked up how they coming after you. Yes, no doubt, baby. I almost want to talk to her right now and say, Kelly, baby, I know it's hard. I know it's you working hard, and people don't appreciate the sacrifices you have made. But let's just take a beat. Let's take a beat,
wait,
baby.
or those videos where like the woman is going off and her significant other, if he's male, brings her like a cheeseburger or like, some food, and then she's like, and another thing. Oh, delicious. Like, to calm down.
Yes,
I
yes.
like here, give me your favorite chocolate bar or something. Like what? I just want it. It's out there. You can't take it back now.
No,
And
I mean she could apologize. I don't know if she needs to apologize, but she can come out and clarify maybe.
it
But
don't
she clearly
matter.
was pissed.
You're
I mean,
clearly alienated the people who buy your album. Because you know what? It's not like I was buying new Kelly Price albums, but I am
no.
not. I will not. I would not. No.
And the thing is, I
Not with
like
my
Kelly Price.
DEI wallet and credit card and refrain from purchasing, right? Why would I do that when you just insulted my demographic of which you're part of? I'm just
Yes,
saying.
yes. Yeah,
I
and
can't.
it was frustrating to watch, and again, let's be clear, she had I think ample reason to go
Yes,
after people because they were saying the awfulest things to
they
her,
were
and people
nasty.
go
And
on. People are
yes,
saying just the most. and I don't know what it's like for her. You know, I've never been had that kind of fame. I've never had
Yes.
people come after me like this. She might say, you know what, if they can come after, if all these people can come after me like this, I can say whatever I want. You know what?
Yeah.
What I like to believe is that if her corner was there for her, as I think they should be, and had a conversation with her, maybe she wouldn't have done what she did, but she would have had some other version of it. She would
Yeah,
have said,
or put out a statement. Yeah,
yeah,
because those things are hurtful, right? Like, famous people are human beings, and
yes,
those things are devastatingly hurtful. One, I don't understand, maybe because I'm too old, right, as a Generation X person, but why you feel the need to comment online about somebody's appearance or what somebody's wearing. Like, that's a comment you say to your friend. That's not a comment that you publish, but I know other people feel differently, but she damaged herself. In some ways, it was self sabotage. And maybe she feels like, girl, I had to do what I had to do. Okay. But unfortunately, right, as a Black person, whether you want to or not, people see you as a member of a group, right?
mhm.
Individual and member of a group. And you just damaged your own group and you in the group. You too.
That's your group.
That's your
And
group.
and there's another part of me that also knows is that all publicity is good publicity.
Mm.
So we're here talking about Kelly Price, who I'll be honest, I have not talked about in a long,
Ever in
long
life,
time.
probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe pre-pandemic, and maybe it was a song that I pulled up by accident on my Spotify. She's never been my person, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not saying she's a bad artist or a singer,
Yeah.
all those things. She's just never been my people. Here we
Sure.
are
Sure.
talking about her, and
Yeah.
and then if it gives her a little money and some little extra tickets being sold, and maybe she comes out and says, "Hey, sisters, I fucked up. I should have
I,
come about this a
I
little
don't think that's
differently."
coming. KP,
It
I don't
probably
think I
won't,
don't.
but
Nah,
you,
I don't think
it's
so.
kind of like R. Kelly and Michael Jackson. They're still gonna have fans who are gonna show up regardless of what they say.
I
They're gonna pay
guess.
that money. You like
I
not
guess.
me.
No. I mean, again, I preface this by saying in the early 2000s and 90s, I had a Kelly Price album or two, right? But I mean, not since then, and definitely not now.
Dr. Helm, you still play your cassette tapes and albums?
Oh,
You
you
don't
real funny.
stream?
No, but I'm still mad that the iPod went away. I did like the iPod. I did.
Really? You know it's
I
all on your phone
did.
now.
Well,
It's
I
on your
did.
phone.
I know it's true, but
Just
I
think
did
about it
like
that
having.
way. It hasn't gone away. It's just on your phone.
Well, I get it, but I had, the capacity was greater, so I'm just dating myself, and
You know
I'm
the
okay with it.
cloud. The cloud has more
I
capacity.
hear what you're saying. I do. I do. I do. I do. My technological skills are limited, so I'm just being real, just being real.
I feel you. Be kind, rewind. I get you. I get you. Be kind, rewind. Oh, I just want to talk real quickly. I want to give a shout out to Lizzo because
Okay,
she's kind of been, I won't say gone. She's been low key for a little bit.
taking a break.
Yeah, taking a break from because she's just been sued by some of her dancers.
Yeah.
Supposedly, what's coming out now is the people who are suing her. It's the circumstances are not what they presented it as. Is like she, sexually not assault, but did something that was nefarious in some ways. Anyhow, she's coming out and has a song called STFO, Shut the Fuck Up. It's actually kind of catchy. Had some of my white friends, women who like, have you heard this Kasike? I'm like, no, I have not.
Okay,
And
I
I
have to look
listened
at.
to
I
it.
have to give it a listen.
Yeah, it had Lil Jon on there. They pulled Lil Jon out the woodwork. Hey, Lil Jon. Hey, what's
Okay.
up? Okay.
Okay.
And it's a catchy song, and I think the most important part of she's always been 100 as far as the statements that she makes. And I'll read a couple of her lyrics. It
Okay.
says, "We used to dance on this app. We used to top thirsty traps. A post. I say sorry. We used to post thirst traps. Now you rage bait to racist and monetize the ads. If followers if followers behavior is a problem, be a dad." And so she's just kind of making these really, I think, strong statements. How you gonna call me a racist when I'm black? And just really kind of coming back out and being the person I think most of us really, I mean, people, black, white, men, women, really admired her. and
I
then
like her
she's
music. I like
yeah.
her attitude, her, body positivity, her, you know, I think there's a stereotype of what everybody in the industry is supposed to look like, and she
Mm-hmm.
did her thing. She plays the
Mm-hmm.
flute, she writes music. So hey, I like Lizzo. I'm probably not buying albums, so you're not making a whole lot of money off of me, but I can pop my fingers to a Lizzo song.
That's what they say about Gen Z, Gen X. We pop our fingers
We
and
do.
clap our
It's true.
hands.
It's true.
Be at the
And
dance floor. Hey.
listen, we haven't been cool in a long time, and I am okay with that. Every generation has its opportunity to be cool. Ours is past.
I'm waiting on my last 15 minutes, so let's make that
Oh,
happen.
okay. All right. We got the cards.
All right, let's go. We got one card, and then we're gonna do a side eye. This one
Okay.
is our engagement card. Is my citizenship gives me the rights and privileges of blank. My citizenship gives me the rights and privileges of blank.
I'm gonna let you go first on that one.
I'll be honest. I have now. Can I be mistaken as an immigrant? I've been called Nigerian, Dominican, and all kinds of things over the years. But I have the comfort and confidence saying, "Look, I'm a citizen. I've been here my whole life. I'm born and raised." And so I don't have the same level of anxiety as others may be experiencing today. I know a woman who's Nigerian who's actually a dreamer, who's very worried, wakes up every day worried about how her status could be used, and she's doing quite well for herself as a business. She pays her taxes, she does everything she's supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
but she's been here since she was a teenager, and for some reason never had that taken care of. And I imagine people like her are worried to death every day they wake up or when
Yeah.
they're sleeping. Me, I
Yeah.
don't have to think about that, and so that's a privilege, I think.
Well, so I will co-sign that for sure, right? It wasn't something that I spent a lot of time thinking about because I didn't have to. And now
Hmm.
in sort of the current political climate with things happening, it really makes you think about, right, how people who are not citizens are being currently devalued,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
again, it's a privilege and advantage, right, that I don't have to think about, right? People might be, coming for me because I'm black and female, but not because I'm not a citizen.
Right. Well, and as you said, this political climate we're living in today makes it difficult because it's typically not been something you had to worry about. I mean, yeah, there
Yeah.
was if you're undocumented, yes, there's a quality. There's things you do because you're undocumented. I'm not saying that's not a thing. I think the difference now is that you have a government who's actively and aggressively and illegally, oftentimes, going after you, and that's the different dynamic that we haven't had in quite a long time.
Sort of in the last couple of minutes of our podcast, I think one of the themes of today's discussion, if we take out maybe even the Kelly Price thing, is like trauma, right?
Hmm.
Where, people watching, Kirk get assassinated, right? And his family, right, are now traumatized, right? The political climate is traumatizing,
Hmm.
people, right? So we have a lot of trauma happening everywhere, and it's exhausting and it's draining and it's scary and it's terrorizing. And so citizenship is just another vehicle that's being used to traumatize.
And that's why I think you doing what we're doing here at Riffing at Wild Black is so important because despite all these really terrible, traumatizing events, the only way of finding healing is to navigate through these, to have the kinds of conversations. It's to activate the body and exercise, eat well if you can. These are the kinds of things that keep us sane or keep our righteous mind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it'd be plenty of reason to go just buck wild crazy. Let's do a side eye and then we'll do our last card. The
Yeah.
side
Although
eye is
that
for
image of Kelly Price going off in her bonnet still is on my mind.
I'm sorry.
So
Again, I feel like I'm old school. Maybe because I can't wear a bonnet, but I can't stand those things. It's just a pet peeve. Anytime I see someone at the grocery store, it reminds me of house coats and slippers and rollers or Jerry curls with the rollers and
you're
the
just
thing.
jealous.
You know what? I wish I could be jealous. I wish I could, but I jealousy
Okay, so
is
you're
is
just jealous of our
is
bonnets.
disdain. Is disdain. I could walk around with a. You know what? I'm gonna get me a
You
bonnet
could. I'm
today.
gonna send a bonnet to Texas. It's gonna be pink and
No,
purple.
no, my daughter got bonnets galore. I'm gonna just borrow one of hers,
There
and I'm
you
going.
go.
I'm walking around all day with a bonnet on. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know
Pops
me.
come. Yeah.
I'm gonna wear a facial bonnet.
Okay, I'm not touching that. All right.
Okay, so our side eye is for real quickly. The Society for Human Resources Management has decided to invite Robbie Starbucks to speak about anti DEI, and the reason you get the side eye from me is because you're providing a platform for someone who wants to continue to provide harm, to eliminate opportunities, to create spaces of exclusion in the
Mhm.
workplace and provide that platform. And their thought is, well, we just want to provide people space to have these, important conversations. And I'm like, no, you're just continuing to justify and legitimize the harm that they're espousing from the White House. And that's fundamentally my problem. Hence why they get the side eye. Now, he's debating Van Jones. Now, everyone loves Van Jones, but I do think Van Jones will do a decent job of speaking about the value of DEI. But we can do that without having the counter position, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and you know, maybe it's time to rename DEI too. Like it now is tainted and associated with things, and maybe like the ideals in DEI are good. It is definitely under attack, but maybe we need to reimagine what we might call it. Um,
Yeah, some people are doing it. There's a person I know who calls it fair, talk about fairness and access. Even the work that I focus on, I haven't not used DEI, but I talk about building trust and
yeah,
connection,
yep.
collaboration, curiosity, which is the point behind DEI, or some of the point. So definitely, I think there's room for that kind of adjustment or pivot. But the truth is, people who are against DEI are against all the things that we're talking about, even
Well,
empathy.
okay.
So that's a no. So let's end with our last card, our last Jimbei card, and this is
Okay.
our celebration card. And the
Okay.
one I picked for us today is this is usually geared towards people who have more than a few folks in the room, but so it says compliment each player. As for you, it's just me and you. It says
Okay.
say something I appreciate about you is something that I appreciate about you is. And
Oh.
if you don't mind, I'm gonna start.
Oh,
Something I
okay.
appreciate about you, Dr. Helm, is that we don't live in the same city.
We do
We
not.
don't get to talk very often. We talk more probably in the last couple months than we have over the years. But you've always been a consistent person that whenever I call, you show up. Even when you had like
Oh,
four phone numbers and I didn't know which one worked, you had like 17 email. I thought maybe you was part of the witness protection program.
you
But when I would find you after diligent and resourceful digging in, I would find you and you'd be like, "Hey, KP." I'm like, "Hey,"
Oh,
and we would
that's sweet.
talk, and I would feel good. And you've always been that person that has been that way, and it's been consistent and lovely all at the same time. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I would say I wrote a couple things down. I appreciate your humor, your passion for bringing people together. Um, Kind of quick sidebar, I was on the phone with KP when I was in labor with my daughter and didn't know I was in labor. And we were chatting. And remember this? And you were like, now don't be surprised if she comes out looking like an alien, right? Because sometimes newborns look like aliens. It will get better, right? You know, because you were ahead of me in your child raising journey. So I appreciate your humor, bringing me into the podcast, how smart you are, and the conversation about my daughter looking like an alien. It didn't last long. The alien phase was like, probably just a few hours to be clear, but it was humorous as I'm driving the car and my back is screaming, right? You were like, okay, now here's what you're gonna do. Here's what it's gonna look like. So I always appreciated that.
That's good. That's beautiful to hear because I say some
She's a
crazy shit.
teenager now, that little alien, but
I'm glad it landed the way that was intended. So that's great to
it
hear.
did. It
Uh,
did.
well, hey, Dr. Helm, as always, it's good to see you. Thank you so much. This is Riffing While Black. And we will continue this conversation next week. So thank you and see you
Next
soon.
week, noon Central Standard Time, please feel free to join us. It's always good to see you, KP.
All right.
Bye.